Alright guys, we've gone through the intro. What more could you want? I've got this beautiful view, the weather's looking nice, and I get to unbox the brand new electric Vamax Cedure. Cedure actually means this day in French. After the unboxing and first impressions, I'm going to go through the specs and the pros and the cons. So let's get into it. I'm going to let you guys see first because I love you more. Oh, there's nothing to say. Okay, ready? So first impressions, we got a handle which is so good. I can do like a flame workout. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. We got motors inside the wheels, on and off button, charging port. I'm just gonna put that there for now. And inside the box, we got a bunch of nice stickers. Yeah, mate. We got a manual. And, oh yes, we got 2 tail lights, which is really handy at night. Got a charger. We got the electric skate tool. We got spare tools, Allen key, and extra hardware. And of course, we get the remote itself. It's got a lanyard, but we also get a spare lanyard, which is really good. And that's pretty much all. All right, now that we've unboxed the board, I'm just gonna go for my first ride and I'll let you know how it goes. Alright guys, first impressions. The board actually feels like really smooth, the trucks feel loose, so I can actually like curve pretty easily. And honestly, I reckon the wheels are like a little bit slippery, which means you can do tricks on the pavers. Let me just turn around. Lol. But yeah, this is literally my first time riding the board. It feels pretty easy to pick up. The wheels feel pretty like smooth, so you could probably do a couple of slides and 180s and stuff on the road, or slippery surfaces. The good thing about this board is because it's got a handle, you don't have to worry about picking up like really heavy skateboards and just like moving across. You can just pick it up and it's lightweight, and you know, job's done like that, mate. Let me just do a quick top speed test. "32 kilometers an hour, 36, 38, 40, 41. That was actually kind of scary. The board feels pretty safe. It's good budget, lightweight. I literally feel like I'm surfing the streets right now for a really good price. I've seen videos of people spinning the wheels. I don't know how to do it yet, but we'll get there, we'll get there. If you get this board right now, I literally want you to tell us in the comments that you've gotten the board. So you join the cult, mate, you will be an absolute legend. What am I doing with my life? Alright guys, we've gone through the intro, we've done the unboxing, we've done the first ride, we've done the first impressions, and overall, I just want to speak about the pros and the cons of the board and see if the board was really worth it. Yes, the board did feel pretty sturdy, felt pretty safe, you can carve really easily, and you can even pop a wheelie. But does that all add up? We're going to find out if the board was the best beginner board to get today. The first pro that I can think of is the carving experience. Because the board is partly Canadian maple and fiberglass, it really makes the deck extra responsive. Not only that, but the deck, if you look closely, it's actually got a bit of a curve on it, like a very slight little curve. And that makes it easier for your feet to spread out. Those factors put together ultimately just makes the board a really great board for carving, maneuvering around things, really easy to turn. That is partly because the trucks are a little bit loose. You can tighten those or loosen them, whatever works better for you guys. The second pro I'm going to talk about is the board is equipped with 550 watt motors. Put that together, that is now 1,100 watts power output. That probably doesn't mean much to you guys, but for me or whoever else gets the board, you'll understand that is really good acceleration for a beginner board. It accelerates to up to 28 miles an hour, which equates to 45 kilometers an hour. That is amazing for a beginner board. 45 kilometers an hour. That is like a pro inside of a pro. I didn't actually get to 45 kilometers an hour. The top I got was 43 kilometers an hour, and that was kind of scary for me, so I kind of slowed down because I'm personally not used to those remotes. But if you are a beginner and you want to feel that extreme, thrilling experience, this is perfect for you. You really can't go wrong. Like if you're in a hilly area, you can get a steep incline of up to 30% on a beginner board. That is pretty good. Another pro that I think is really worth mentioning is it really does have a friendly user experience. It's got a handle, man, and you can just pick it up, take it anywhere, no stress, no problem. It's really lightweight, easy to carry, and considering it is a long board, it actually isn't as long as most longboards. So I could actually fit it easily in my car. You could probably take it in most cars today. And also it's anti-collision pads, also known as bash guards. If you smack into something, you don't have to worry about the board getting chipped or something because it's got bash guards around the board to protect the board. One thing that I also love about the VayMax Endure is it just comes with quite a lot of extra stuff that you really don't need. It's got tail lights, it's got 2 spare lanyards in case you snap a lanyard. It's got spare hardware, which you probably do need in case you want to repair it, but considering it's a VayMax, I've now got 3 VayMax boards and I still haven't had to do a single repair. Another pro is the regenerative braking system. You probably don't know what that means, but basically when you're riding, the braking system is really smooth. So you can accelerate really fast and then brake nice and slowly. It's not very sensitive where you like come flying off the board. Not only that, but the deacceleration of the process actually saves a lot of battery life because it's not as sensitive, doesn't require as much transmitting from the remote to the board. Now, if you are out there looking for a new board, or maybe it's your first electric skateboard, a lot of beginner boards are not waterproof at all. This board has an IP of 55 water resistance. That basically means you can splash a bit of water on the board, maybe it's spitting a little bit, maybe you accidentally ride through a puddle of water, or it just gets really dusty. The motors are well protected inside the wheel, so that is definitely a big advantage to the board. Alright, the second to last pro that I can think of is the remote actually has 4 different speed modes, meaning if you're just learning to ride the board, you can just start really slow. You got nothing to worry about, which is really good. A lot of my other boards do actually have that, but they're very sensitive, so even on the slowest mode, you can still like just crash out on the board and whatnot. And then obviously, when you're starting to learn the board better, you can go up to different modes and feel comfortable at a speed that you want to go at. Now that brings me to my last pro, which is probably the deciding point whether or not you're going to buy the board. And that is the board's price. It's priced under $400, meaning it's affordable for a lot more new riders. And I really do recommend you get this board because you can't go wrong with the price. And if you get this board and then you want to move up to a game changer, I would recommend some of VayMax's other boards, like the Mini Monster. That thing's an absolute beast. I've got that. It's absolutely great. And of course, if you make an order on any of VayMax's boards, you can use this code and you get a little sneaky discount, so I definitely recommend that. Alright guys, I've just found out that my mic dropped while I was talking about the Pro, so sorry about that. But now I get the opportunity to talk about the cons of the board, to dive deep into what you don't know when you first see the board online. Now that I've got the board in person, I can tell you all about it, and I'm going to be 100% honest. The first con that I can think of is it has limited advanced features. For example, some of my other boards that cost a lot more, they actually have advanced suspension systems, meaning I don't really feel every rock or bump and whatnot. Whereas this board actually comes with street wheels, meaning you can actually do a couple of slides and cool things, but if you go on a rough terrain, you can feel a lot of the bumps. I would recommend staying to the footpath, the roads, anything kind of smooth. A few bumps here and there is not really a big deal, but I would recommend not taking this board off-roading. Now the other con that comes straight to my mind is the charging time. The charging time is 2.5 hours for the Sedure, and then the charging time for the Sedure ER is 3.5 hours. So if you want to go out riding for the day with a couple of mates and you want to be able to stop for lunch and put the boards on charge, you're going to be waiting for 2.5 hours to 3.5 hours for the board to be fully charged. So that is a little chunk of your day. Another con is the remote. If you hold the remote in your hands, you look at it, it doesn't really feel very durable and it doesn't have advanced features. If you dropped it, you probably might see yourself going on their website and buying a new one. I have actually dropped a couple of their remotes accidentally and I only ended up with a couple of scuffs and marks, but if you're riding pretty fast or something went wrong, you're most likely probably gonna break the remote. Now I'd like to talk about a con that you're probably going to expect with most budget boards on the market. That is that there is no app integration, meaning you can't make your personal customizations and adjustments to the board, but you can expect it with most boards that you're buying for under 400 bucks, so it's still a winner to me. Now I did mention this before briefly, but you can't really take the board on rough terrains. Not only is that just the wheels, but that is also the deck. A lot of decks out there do have the ability to absorb shocks and bumps when you're riding the board, meaning when you ride the board it's going to be a lot smoother. The Sajura deck does have a little bit of flex, which does absorb a little bit of shock, but it doesn't absorb as much shock as you'd want it to. I'd also really like to mention that it does have limited customization. And I'm not just talking about app integration, I'm talking about if you wanted to add all-terrain wheels, you can't actually buy those. If you want to add some shock, you can't actually buy those. But that does not stop you from making your own and making it fun. I wouldn't try that at home, guys. And if you do, that is your responsibility if something goes wrong, not Vamax's. Now the last con that I would like to mention is the range of the board. The range of the Vamax Sajura does 13 miles, which is 21 kilometers. And if I'm being honest, that is not much. However, you can spend a little bit more and buy yourself the Vamax Sajura ER, which does have a bigger range. The range on that board is 18 miles, which equates to 28 kilometers. Now that we've spoken about the pros, we've spoken about the cons, that brings us to our conclusion. I can tell you now that I've been working with Vamax for several months, and one of their biggest commitments is user quality for the price. It's a definite recommend. Makes all their boards very enjoyable, and that is a really good thing. However, coming back to the board, I definitely recommend because it's very easy for the board to be picked up and learnt by anyone. It's one of those boards that you can buy without breaking the bank. And before you tap out the video, I just want to remind you that if you use this code, you can get a good price. Now that we've finished the video, I do feel obligated to say, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and you should have yourself a good day. See you around. Once you get this board, you'll know what I mean. It's a good board. I haven't even unboxed it. Why am I saying that? Got 4 wheels. Got 4 wheels. Sorry, I'm just in the middle of something. Folded plans or what? Oi! Obviously, it's well packaged. So obviously. Oh my goodness. Guys, forgive me, I'm not a professional box cutter. The Vamax. Oh my goodness. Mate, what are you doing, mate? This is Vamax. Pick the worst day to do this. It's like freezing cold, my legs like legging.
Subterranean by design. I wonder what I would find if I met you. Let my eyes caress you until I meet the thought of Mrs. Princess who often wonder what makes her work. I guess I'll leave that question to the experts.
What were you thinking just then?